everybody, I'm Dr. Erin.
I'm Dr. Kristen.
And you're very welcome to our video of Viva, where we're talking about the piece of art for the Cuba week of our Colonizers World Tour. We had originally planned to watch a different film for this.
Guys, it's where we need to talk about making sure your subtitles are readable.
Yeah. So Dr. Kristen, as you know, if you've been watching our Colonizers World Tour coverage, is an exceptionally good Google searcher and finder of all the gems of art that we've watched. Mostly, we've had a few bumps in the road, but it's mostly been a very well paved road of art. And we found one where it sounded great, had a little queer story involved in it. It's called Una Noche. We started watching it. It's produced by Spike Lee. We're like, okay, like legit money behind this. Y'all, the subtitles were illegible. And like, you can't have a movie in a language that you don't speak and make the subtitles, like they were white, but ish, and they faded into a lot of the
like they had white over the ocean at one point, and I was like, guys, we got to talk about a Pantone palette. It's not how this works,
guys. So 10 minutes into Una Noche, we pivoted. We asked Google again, and they blessed us with Viva, which is what we are talking about today. You know, we were always supposed to watch Viva. We just didn't know it at the time.
Very true.
It is a 2016 movie directed by Paddy Brethna, who's Irish, written by Mark O'Halloran, who's also Irish. It is an entirely Irish produced. It was like funded by RTE and the Irish Film Board. Yes, it's still about Cuba, kids.
We promise.
It was the Irish entry for Best Foreign Language Film for the 88th Academy Awards. We watched it for free on Tubi, and you can too. The subtitles, we like scanned ahead. We were like, okay, we can watch these subtitles. We can watch this film. It is the story of Jesus, who lives in a slum in Havana. He is a hairdresser, a sometimes sex worker, and he dresses hair for one of the drag queens at a local drag club. And through circumstances, one of the drag queens abandons the show, and they need to fill her spot. Jesus auditions. He has some work to do, but eventually finds his passion and love for drag performing. And then his dad shows up. Mom's dead. Dad shows up out of prison. And the rest of the film from that point becomes a story of their relationship, which is very complicated. Jesus hasn't seen his dad, Angel, since he was like 3. There's a lot of masculinity. There's a lot of sexuality and gender and family and grief and guilt and all of those things wrapped into what becomes a beautiful story of the two of them understanding each other better and accepting them for who they are, with some pretty fantastic drag performances. It's the most Irish Spanish language film I've ever seen in terms of the feel of it.
Yep.
If you are Irish or you love Irish films, it will feel very Irish to you as well.
It's Once in Havana with less guitars.
Yeah.
And more sequins.
Yeah, exactly. It is the feel of the Once and the intermissions. And unsurprisingly, Mark O'Halloran, who's the writer, is an actor as well, who's been in 2 Martin McDonagh.
One of the patron saints of art, of Irish art. If no one knows, Martin McDonagh.
Or no, it's not it's John.
John
McDonagh.
His brother.
His brother, not Martin McDonagh, the playwright. John, the filmmaker. Calvary and the Guard. So it's not as dark as those, but it's still that kind of aesthetic, if you will. We loved it. We literally loved it. Dr. Kristen, what would you like to tell our friends and viewers about Viva?
So first of all, Viva is Jesus's drag name, which we didn't say up front, and we should have.
Apologies, was my miss.
It is one of the most tender explorations of toxic masculinity.
Good word. Yeah.
And it's one of the reviews that I read, I can't remember, it may have been the New York Times one, but there's some, like, when we first meet his dad, spoiler alert, his dad punches him because he's coming on to him as Viva.
In the drag club, yeah.
Yeah, Viva is hitting on Angel, who is an attractive man. And if he was sitting at, my drag show, I'd want tips too. But you get the feeling that it is reflective rather than actually aggressive. Like, throughout the rest of the film, Angel cannot tell you why he doesn't want his son to do drag. Cannot tell you. Cannot articulate why this is bad. It is just deep-seated cultural garbage that he's never ever examined.
Yeah, machismo,
as
it is called in Cuba and other places.
I was not prepared for the conversations that Angel and Jesus have about masculinity, about how Angel's body is breaking down. And he was a boxer before this, and he's actually in prison for accidentally killing somebody in a brawl.
Yeah.
And he's in his 50s probably when we meet him.
I'd say, yeah.
And not well.
No, and he's spoilers a go-go. We find out the reason Angel was released from prison is because he is dying from cancer. So it becomes this end of life, what have I done with my life kind of reflection for Angel as well.
And very my whole identity has been my body. My body doesn't work anymore. I don't know who you need me to be. I don't know, but by God, please don't leave me alone.
I don't know. He has no idea how to be a father.
None.
Yeah. And so what I wrote was it's a treatise on Cuban machismo.
Oh, that's a good word. Yeah.
It's how masculinity is constructed, how it's perceived, how it's performed, and how hard it is for you when you don't fit into that model. And so we get that through Jesus, who is just the most effeminate presenting Cuban boy you've ever seen.
The movie opens on his face and he's staring longingly at a drag performer. And I was just like, oh, that is the look of a quasi-closeted gay boy if I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was just the longing. He nailed it. He nailed the Hector Medina.
Oh, he was transformative.
Incredible.
He is such a talent. And was just so I wasn't expecting either of them to be very layered characters.
But wow.
And complex characters, but boy, were they. Who? Yeah.
And then we also have Mama, who is the mother hen drag performer who inserts both on and off stage, both him and herself, into this entire process and into Jesus's processing of everything to do. We constantly hear, other drag performers' stories of their fathers who were all pieces of garbage, it really seems like. And that it's almost like this rite of passage to be a Cuban drag queen. You have to have a terrible father. And we also meet his cousin, who was my only part of the movie was this side story of his cousin.
Yeah,
and I can see she is probably very typical, but to me it bordered on stereotypical portrayal of a poor Cuban woman who would do anything it took to get to America.
Get out, yeah.
And then ended up pregnant. The guy dumped her. But in the meantime, she was atrocious to Jesus, but blood is thicker than water. We didn't need her.
Yeah, I'm not sure what.
In the way that we got her. We didn't need, unless it was to prove to us that he had nobody in his family. And the found family at the drag club was it. But still, it didn't serve the movie very strongly. I could have done without her and focused entirely on Mama, Angel, and Jesus, and that would have been fine.
Yeah, because Jesus is just such a caretaker, and he ends up taking care of his dad, even, and like standing up to his dad as well. Like he doesn't get like steamrolled by his dad. But he ends up caring for him, even though his dad has like keeps telling him he can't perform at drag, and like Jesus actually goes back to sex work so that he can make money to help feed his father because he can't, like, so it's really, really complicated. And she just kind of comes in and she's mean all the time, and then at the end Jesus helps her out anyway because he's such a kind person, and they appear to be happily living in the flat, as he's a drag performer and she's got a baby, and his other friend who's a sex worker lives with them in this lovely little utopian apartment.
The friend was so great.
He was amazing. Oh my god, I love that he just kept like faking injuries to get more money as a sex worker. It was genius. But yeah, it like this movie just oozes heart.
Like, yeah. And I want to go back, if you've never watched an Irish film, and not like Leap Year or
no,
like, I'm not talking, you know,
we're not talking about, but this is not, P.S. I Love You does not fall into an Irish film category.
An Irish film,
exactly.
Is always quiet. Even when there's a million explosions, it is like emotionally quiet. It's one of the hallmarks of, I think the Irish Film Agency only approves things that are melancholic. And that's what this is. It's this very slice of life.
Yeah.
The movie never apologizes for the characters.
Yeah.
The characters have to apologize to each other. They may have to apologize to themselves, but this is who these people are. Jesus at one point lies to both Mama and Angel and goes back to dancing and then has to confess it. And it would be, as the viewer, you're like, it would be so easy. Just keep lying, boy. Like, just keep lying. But he knows that once he tells this truth, he has to go back to sex work. You can tell by his facial work that this is not a job that he loves. Especially the second John we are introduced to. And the process of how he's going to feed himself and his father. And all these kind of things, we don't get long explanations as to his motivations because they're so apparent. Like, this is my dad, this is what I do. And there is a quiet tenderness in Irish film that I don't find in any other country's film that was so present here. Like, one of the reviews made the joke, and I'll make it here, but like, it was so Irish. I was smoking a Cuban cigar and drinking a Guinness. Like, that's
yeah. And it is that ability to film something that is lived in and real and authentic, and as you said, like, doesn't apologize. Doesn't justify, or, you know, you get to make your own decisions. It leaves you, Irish films like let you think about what you want about the films.
Correct. They do not handhold.
They don't handhold. They don't say this is like, especially American films, it's like, this is the story and this is what you have to get out of it as an audience.
Yeah.
And Irish film is like, this is the story.
We'll all take something different from it.
Make of it what you will. Yeah. And it was just, yeah, we loved it. We're gushing. As often happens on our Colonizers World Tour films. But please watch it. The subtitles are easy to read.
If your Cuban Spanish is a little rusty,
yeah,
good news.
Yeah, because they speak and that was the other thing about Una Noche. Like, they were speaking Cuban Spanish very fast, and I was like, y'all, I can't pick it up and I can't read it, and I'm not watching the film like this. Spike Lee, you should know better.
Thus concludes our conversation
I think we're done. I think we'll end on yelling at Spike Lee.
God, let's talk about what a complicated figure, artistically. Thus concludes our coverage of the island of Cuba for now, anyway, on this edition of the Spanish Colonies and the Colonizers World Tour. Mm-hmm. Next week, we are off to
El Salvador?
El Salvador.
I believe it's El Salvador, yes.
El Salvador. Keep your eyes peeled on our sister channel, Abby Research Reads, for a book review of a book entirely about how the El Salvadorian economy is built on coffee in a way that certainly has not been said to me as an avid coffee drinker. So I had a great time reading it. Please make sure to check out that video so you have a little bit of context as we go in. And as always, we'll see you on Tuesday for our 101 introduction to El Salvador.
See you then, everybody.